Funding for APOY is provided by... no one. I don't really have sponsors. So anyways, based on the intro and the title as well, you might have realized that this video is heavily inspired by one of Scafrilli's Productions videos, where he ranked every Star Wars movie, except they were ranked based on how they used C-3PO or R2-D2. And since he's a huge inspiration of mine, I thought of doing the same thing, except the thing I'm most known for, which is being the biggest Eggy fan in the Object Show community. So this works in a pretty simple way. I'll rank all 11 TPOT episodes so far, and yes, I'm not including TPOT 12 despite the episode being leaked, especially since leaking is bad, don't do it. But my only criteria to rank these episodes will be how well they use Eggy in them. This is not gonna be very long, considering half of these episodes don't even have Eggy in it, but I thought it was a cute idea to do while I work on my bigger projects. So let's start with the episode that uses Eggy the least.
Disappointment in the game of life.
It's kinda funny how the latest episode is at the bottom of this list, and it's for the simple fact that Eggy is literally nowhere to be found in this episode. And you could make the argument that every other episode at the very least has a couple of frames with Eggy during the intro, but this episode has a different intro than usual since this is an exit focus episode. So this episode doesn't really have Eggy, thus making this the only TPOT episode that doesn't have Eggy at all. Kind of sad. And now it's time for the episodes that only have Eggy in the intro. Look at her! She's being boiled by Yellowface! To be honest, I never understood why Yellowface out of everyone would be paired with Eggy in the intro, but I guess it's funny enough. And they even do interact at one point, so I don't know, I guess it's cute.
I was dead and no one bothered to recover me for a year.
TPOT 10 is such an amazing episode that it even features Eggy in a flashback. This obviously is referring to the scene of BFP15 when Clock was finally recovered by the losers, and while Eggy herself doesn't say anything, as this is mostly for Clock to explain to Winner why he wanted them to be in the spotlight, this is still something more than just appearing in the intro, so good job TPOT 10! Next we have TPOT 7, the last episode to indirectly have Eggy. There's not that much to say in here, since she just makes a cameo when Pillow imagines torturing people if she were to win 2's powers, but it's nice to see that she was added in here alongside some of the post-split cast, so that's cool. And now we're done with the more boring part of this ranking, since this episode didn't really have Eggy, as she was eliminated early on, but at least she managed to be in 6 episodes, so let's take a look at those.
Disappointment in the game of life.
As for the 6 episodes left, the one that uses Eggy the worst way is definitely TPOT 5, which is kind of weird. First off, TPOT 5 is probably one of the better episodes from this very specific category, but it somehow manages to fumble Eggy in such a weird way, only giving her 2 lines in the whole episode, and they're not even good lines. The first one is just a generic argument with basketball, which now feels one-sided for some reason, and the other line is just something about not caring about robots or whatever. The crazy part is, it was confirmed by Sam that he had plans for Eggy if she were to survive TPOT 6, most notably replacing Belle's role in the basketball and robot flower storyline. Also why Belle's line in TPOT 8 feels more like something Eggy will say instead of Belle. But that doesn't make sense either, cause then why would you give Eggy such little screen time in the episode where she's up for elimination if you have such plans for her in the future? It's really sad too, because after TPOT 6, Sam really started to log in and make way better episodes for TPOT, so Eggy would have absolutely become a much more entertaining character. Sure, she probably would have gotten out in TPOT 12 by a big shot, but honestly, I would have been fine if that was the case, because at the very least we would have gotten to see Eggy get fleshed out more during those episodes. But now that she got out in TPOT 6, most people still don't think that much of her. They still think that she's either forgettable, or maybe she's even bad for some people. And that saddens me, as I see the potential that comes with this character. Oh well, not much you can do about it now. I'm just hoping that a potential season 6 is gonna use the less utilized characters in it, cause I would love an underdog season for a show like BFDI. We just gotta hope for the best, I suppose.
I will finally give the answer to if I came first or the chicken.
Despite TPOT 6 being the episode where Eggy gets eliminated, it somehow manages to be slightly better than TPOT 5's usage of Eggy, most notably due to this line.
Basketball! Eggy! Looks like a ball is finally being eliminated!
I'm not a ball.
Yeah, it's a callback to episode 1 when Basketball accidentally called Eggy fat, and despite that not being much to work with, it's a cute reference that still manages to beat TPOT 5's performance on using Eggy. As for her final words, it would have been cool to see Teardrop say goodbye to Eggy, but I guess the chicken and egg joke was charming enough, so whatever.
Really?
What?
You're gonna use that word around me?
Wow, Eggy sure is in TPOT 3. Well, to be fair, she has way more relevance in the episode compared to pretty much everything so far. Her highlight is definitely the elimination, as she does actually have the most lines in it, which is pretty surprising now that I think about it. Even what she says feels in character, from trying to make two feel better about their cheesecakes to still not wanting to eat it for obvious reasons. Next, we have the challenge itself, where she and Basketball talk of each other, which is really good, as it's a callback to how these two didn't really see eye to eye last episode, and yet they're trying to get better so that they won't lose again. And there is that one joke with Belle, and honestly I do like that too. Well, yeah, this is a pretty strong start for Eggy so far. What else does she do in the episode? Alright, that's the last important thing she does in the episode. Yeah, despite having a good start, she didn't really say that much after the challenge started, but I would say this is definitely one of the better episodes that actually uses Eggy in a good way. Dare I say, it's the first episode so far that uses her good.
Ego? You're the ego!
And now we come to the last TPOT episode that doesn't involve Satomi's writing at all. And honestly, despite that, Eggy is actually used really well in this episode. I wasn't really expecting Carrie to know that much about Eggy's character, since it never felt like he cared that much about her, but I'm happy to say I was wrong, as Eggy's lines in TPOT 4 are really good. She may not be as relevant as Basketball or Snowball, but she definitely has a way more important role than, for example, Robot Flower. She usually is the one to react to whatever happens, like when she figured out that Snowball picked inside the ad, when Belle lost her bracelet, when Grassy was set on fire. She really felt like a very important member of the team, honestly. So props to Carrie for writing Eggy quite well. Despite not having that much substance compared to TPOT 3, I'm putting TPOT 4 higher because of the fact that Eggy's role is very consistent during the whole episode, since she sticks to her role until the very end, unlike TPOT 3 that completely drops her once the challenge starts. So yeah, good job on being the first episode that uses Eggy in a very good and consistent way.
You know those buttons don't do anything, right?
Ah yes, the Sodomy episodes. I always talk about how these are two of the most amazing episodes of the entire series, and that applies to today's topic as well, so let's start with TPOT 1. Satomi had a really interesting idea with TPOT, as she really wanted to highlight those characters that didn't really have many fans. To prove my point, take a look at the bottom 6 character from the BFB 13 popularity poll. You can make the argument that TPOT 1 is the best TPOT episode for the majority of these 6 characters. Naily was definitely pretty relevant, Goldie teamed up with Belle and helped in the challenge, Basketball went to make her own team without Golf Ball, and Eggy began a frenemy rivalry with Basketball in this episode. Just to prove how much Eggy was used in this episode, Eggy is actually the character with the second most lines in TPOT 1, having a grand total of 20 lines. Whoa, that's 18 more lines than TPOT 5, that's crazy!
Looks like your leadership abilities on this side have been disastrous, Basketball. I've been keeping the hostage in mind,
that
and
was,
he's been fully
that was really bad.
cooperating.
So you understand why TPOT 1 is such a high placement here. Satomi had the idea of using more underrated characters for TPOT, thus giving them a spotlight to gain more fans. And I do really like that, as every character deserves a moment to shine, even the less important ones. Back to the episode, she actually flows really well with Basketball, feeling like a duo that probably should have been one from the very beginning, as they managed to be the most entertaining duo of this entire team. So yeah, overall an amazing episode to show what could be done with Eggy's character. But there is still one more episode that uses her even better. Yeah, this was no contest. It was pretty easy to determine that TPOT 2 used Eggy the best way possible. Even if we counted BFB, this will still be the best Eggy episode. And it's because it uses her amazingly. We start off with Basketball leaving the team to fix Robot Flower, thus leaving Eggy on command while she was gone, which puts her in a difficult spot as she's not really a leader. It's just not in her DNA, and that's great, because this way, the episode makes Eggy get out from her comfortable area and try to see if she can be a good leader. Spoilers alert, she's not. She makes mistakes after mistakes after mistakes, from not knowing how to deal with Eraser, to copying ideas from other teams, to go and send Belle out of all people to knock the other stacks, which would then result in the team loss in the end. Some people may go and say that she should have gotten eliminated here because of the fact that she made her team lose, but if you think that someone should get eliminated solely because of that, then what? Did you want Clock to be eliminated in BSP 6? Or even TPOT 3? Why eliminate characters that are relevant in the episode? I don't get it. In any case, that's obviously not the only thing that Eggy does in this episode, since in here we also see her friendship with Teardrop. It was something that started all the way back in BFB 1, and after befriending her in BFB 4, these two started to hang out with each other, sometimes even appearing right next to each other in some shots. But then the split happened and this duo was separated. Well, that was until TPOT 2, where Teardrop got to join the season on her own team. Turns out that once Teardrop died, Eggy decided to put her priorities in the front, thus ditching her team to go and recover a friend, thus showing us that Eggy values friendships way more than some silly game. Once she recovers Teardrop, we see her smiling at Eggy, appreciating the cat act, before going back into action. Then we see Winner noticing all of that, which makes Eggy want to make sure that they don't tell anyone about this. And then we see Winner get somehow invested in Eggy, asking both Bottle and Clock about what Eggy's deal is. Like, if they were just annoyed, they would have just forgotten about it. But then Winner goes out of their way to get more info about Eggy from multiple people. It's kind of interesting really, and kind of ironic too, as it perfectly mirrors Winner's opinion on Clock at the time. They used to find Clock very annoying and wanted to avoid him at all costs, while they also find Eggy to be an enigma that's making Winner want to learn more about her. I just find that really interesting honestly, and now that I think about it, there's even more stuff that mirrors both Eggy and Clock to each other. Like, I didn't even realize how connected these two characters were. Wow. Then, once Eggy's back, she's confronted by Basketball, and then we have this amazing back and forth between the two of them. And now this is the frenemy rivalry that Basketball and Eggy have, not whatever TPOT 5 had. It's pretty clear why this episode takes first place. You can make the argument that Eggy is pretty much the main character of our team this episode. She probably has the most to do here. Her friendship with Teardrop gets to be brought back, Winner gets interested in Eggy, and then the frenemy rivalry with Basketball gets to be expanded more upon. To end off this little video, TPOT 2 is the best episode to showcase what can be done with Eggy's character. She's a character that was born to create drama in teams, as I can assure you that if your team has Eggy in it, chances are very high that she will do something that will cause problems in said team. And yes, that includes BFB as well. Maybe I could make this same video but with BFB's episode. We'll see. Thanks for watching!